I'm John Nord, and today I'm going to talk about what torches there is for soldering and see if we can answer some questions. Stay tuned. Okay, I get a lot of questions on what type of torch I use for soldering and what kind of torch, what's the least expensive torch I can get away with to solder. What do you use for easy annealing, and what do you use for spurs? Hey, there's a lot of opinions on this. I'm just going to show you what I have available, and maybe you can choose what you want of one of these, or maybe you might find something different, but I'm going to give you some ideas on what I do. Okay, first of all, we have the big torch here. It's got the big tanks. Now you don't have to have these great big tanks. This is an oxygen tank. I used to be a welder, and I've got this still on lease. It's got the regulator here, and I've got my hoses and all. When I'm welding and cutting in the shop on corrals or fences and all, I run oxygen and acetylene on this red line. But since I'm not doing that right now, and this is a lot more appropriate for spurs and things, in my opinion, I'm running it off of instead of acetylene, I'm running it off of a tank of propane. And this works real good. It gets not quite as hot as acetylene. It gets plenty hot. You gotta control it. But it doesn't burn your stuff up like acetylene. I mean, you're getting up to the hot as you can get with oxygen and acetylene in these big hoses and a big torch. So I wouldn't suggest that for any type of jewelry work, soldering like that. Now, when I first started, I did use this line on acetylene and that on oxygen for soldering on overlays on spurs. And I got away with it, but I found out right away that it's just a little too hot for my needs. So once I went to propane, I toned that down some. And I don't always use these rigs for soldering overlays on spurs. In fact, I really don't use them much at all no more, but when I started, this is what I was using for a long time. I'll show you the torch I use now, which I show in most of my videos. But anyway, this rig, this setup here would be hard to put in your studio unless you have an area to put your big tanks, or you get a small tank maybe. But it would be best to have your tanks outside your studio in these big dudes. And so, I would say that this is a good setup for out in a shop like this, an open air shop. You can this is the torch that I use. It's a Victor, and this is the type of tip you would use on something like this. And you have to set your pressures just right to get your flame consistent on these. And with this type of tip though, you can control your heat pretty well on spurs, buckles also, if you're careful. And this works really good for either one of those, the heavier metals like the 1/8" steel and 1/4" steel and on up. So you can use this kind of a setup. Propane works just fine. Like I say, you have to set your pressures just right. And I could sit here and tell you the pressures and all, but you got to just tell by your flame. I can tell you right now the pressures have to be a lot less than what you would run with acetylene. So, but this will do the job if this is all you got. If you're a welder and you're trying to do some spurs and buckles, and this is the kind of rig you got, maybe you have this on acetylene, like I say, you can use it. But you get you just a tank of propane and put your acetylene line into your propane, it'll be a lot more friendly. And then if you need to heat some spurs up, to bend them or anything like that, you need to do any metal bending, you can get you the bigger tip. This is a propane tip I've got on this one, and it will heat silver, melt silver, all of those things with just this propane tip in here. Now, if I was running this red line on acetylene tank, this would be a different tip. But for propane, you have to have a propane tip to be cutting metal or getting a big flame to heat like silver up with and stuff like that, to melt it for pouring it, like if you're casting or you're going to melt your own silver and roll it out. So that's the big torch. Okay, now we're going to talk about a little torch. Now this is called the little torch. It's by Smith, and I used to use this a lot. And these lines here, I've got quick disconnects on here, but I can unscrew those quick disconnects, and this will screw right into that fitting on both of these, oxygen and propane. Now what you usually do with this torch is you run this off of acetylene. I haven't ever tried it off of propane. I suppose you can run it on propane. But anyway, I used to always run it off of acetylene, and it worked really nice. It gets real hot, and but it's got different tips for here. And you can get a pretty big flame, or you can get a real tiny flame. And you can control your flame real easily. And I've done a lot of jewelry with this little torch, and it's real friendly. And what I like about it with using these small tips, you can get a lot of heat in a small area and not heat up the rest of your piece. Now I've even put overlays on buckles with this little torch, and it works real good. I just don't use it much no more. I like my air torch, which I'll show you in a minute. But I know a lot of guys use this Smith torch, and a lot of jewelers use the Smith torch, and there's nothing wrong with it at all. So like I say, it's got a pretty good line on it, and you can hook it into an acetylene regulator and an oxygen regulator just the same. It would probably be easier for you if you had small bottles instead of these big ones. But this is a real friendly torch to have in a studio. It works great, and nothing wrong with this little torch. Okay, next I've got this Blazer. It's a mini torch, and it's just click on, click off. You can adjust the flame on it. I use this all the time, and what I use it for is if I have a piece of, say, 22 gauge, and I'm going to put a bezel if I have a piece of 28 gauge bezel, I'm going to put together, I bring the bezel together, and I just use this little torch, and it heats it up real nice. And I touch it with even some hard solder, like 70%. This torch will get it to the right temperature and melt the solder. Now, as far as using it on putting the bezel on a piece of 22 gauge, I haven't had that much luck. I know a lot of people have done it, but it's kind of slow to me. So I mainly use it for putting bezels together, putting jump rings, soldering bells together, small things. And it works real good for that. You can also heat up the glue on your engraving vise holder for buckles and things like that with it. You can heat different things up with it because it's a real quick ignite, real easy to use. But as far as soldering, there's nothing wrong with it on light duty stuff. Okay, this torch here is not really a soldering torch. This is an annealing torch in my mind. I can anneal stuff with this very easily. It's just turn it on, click off, click on, click off. And so I can just grab this and heat up some silver on a block or a brick and anneal it, then go back to my mill, roll it out, come back, put it on the brick, anneal it again. Real fast, real easy. It's super handy for that, and also heating things up that you want to do quick and easy. So don't discount these. You can get these tanks at Walmart. You can get the torch at Walmart. Be sure you get one that clicks on and off, and they're very handy. Now, not for soldering, but for annealing and heating other things up. Like sometimes my coating that I put on some of my jewelry, the lid will be stuck on it. Well, you just take this and run it over it a couple of times, and then it comes right off. So you got to be safe with it, but it's pretty easy to use inside a studio. Okay, I'm going to go back and go over a couple of things I didn't mention. On the blazer torch, to put more gas in it, there's a hole here in the bottom, and you can get those cans of propane, those little or butane, and put in these, and like you do lighters, and fill it up. I keep one of them around. I get the bigger cans about like that, about that big around. I find them at the Atwood's farm stores and some of those places. That's how you fill these up. I said that this torch is not for soldering. It is for plumbing soldering, soft solder. I'm talking low heat copper plumbing soldering, but not for jewelry soldering. I wouldn't use it. The torch got too big a flame, and you can burn stuff up in a hurry with it. But it is a good plumbing soldering torch. And one more thing on the little Smith torch. I went through the instructions, and it does say you can run this off of propane or natural gas, but not with the number 2 tip. The small tip needs to only be used with acetylene, and or the number 2 tip is only good for acetylene. But other than that, you can, on the other tips, you can run this with propane. Okay, now that we got that covered, let me go over here to my torch. This is the one that you see me in all the videos soldering with, and I love this torch. Mike Purdue introduced me to it. It's an air acetylene torch. This is just a bottle of acetylene. It mixes that acetylene with air around the tip, and it creates the heat, so you don't have to have oxygen with it. And I have a number 2 tip in here. That's what I use on most of the lighter jewelry pieces that I'm doing. When I get to buckles and spurs, and I do overlays. You've seen me on my videos do my overlays with this on spurs, 1/4-inch bands, 3/16 bands, also 1/8-inch buckles. It works great, but I go to the bigger tips. I think my bigger tip is a number 3, but they have a 4, 5, and a 6, I believe. Anyway, this is a number 2. It's the smallest tip I use, and I usually use it to solder bezels on the backings, also anything else that I need to solder that's a little heavier or too heavy for the little blazer torch. Anyway, I love this torch. It's easy to use. It's got one regulator here, and you can turn your pressure down when you want to get even this torch to a lower heat to solder something that's lighter weight, or you can turn the pressure up to almost around 15 for when you're doing spurs and get the big tip. So this is real easy, and I know you've seen me do this before. I use a lighter, charcoal lighter to light it up, and that's the flame that you get out of the small tip, and it's just right for jewelry. You get to the big tip and it's really hissing and can really heat some stuff up. Anyway, it's pretty safe for in the studio. I've always used it in the studio, and it works great. And this is my number 1 torch for soldering. I would say for soldering jewelry, I would stick to the air torch or the mini torch. These are the two that I would go with. If you're doing buckles and spurs, I would go to this torch with a big tip, or go to the Big Victor torch with a propane tip, for your gas and oxygen, and a smaller tip like this. It would work too. But in a studio, this works great for buckles and spurs with a large tip. Hey, I hope you learned something from all this. I get a lot of questions on torches, and the big torch is probably your most expensive investment. This one's not too bad. If you buy the tank, you got some expense there, but this torch comes with a regulator, and it's not too expensive. I mean, maybe 150, I don't know, maybe 200 at the most. The little Smith torch, I don't know what they're going for now, but they're not real expensive. But the Big Victor torch with all the hoses and the regulators, you're going to spend some money on these, probably $300, $400, $500 maybe. And of course these are pretty reasonable at Walmart or wherever. The little Blazer torch, not very expensive, $50, $60. Anyway, choose what you think will suit your needs best, and I hope you have good luck. And stay tuned, we'll do some more videos on different topics. See y'all later. Please like and subscribe.